Hey Cavalier Nation, Executive Director Monty Mast here. Hope everyone has had a safe and happy holiday. Tonight is the final night of our 4-night rebroadcast. We'll be seeing the last segments of our PASIC clinic, including Iowa, 60 years of Cavaliers playing the 1961 solo, and a behind-the-scenes look at the making of the PASIC production. Our final 2020 DeGrauwe Legacy Award winner, Bruce Teagan, is recognized by Larry McCormick. Finally, Kevin LeBoeuf introduces our 2019 production, The Wrong Side of the Tracks. Our return to the field in 2021 would not be possible without the support of our friends, fans, and alumni. I want to thank each and every one of you who donated to the Back on Track campaign at the beginning of the month. We were able to raise over $60,000. While that amount is nothing to scoff at, we're still about $25,000 short of our December goal. Remember, the CARES Act allows taxpayers who don't itemize deductions to take a charitable deduction of up to $300 for cash contributions made in 2020 off the top. Please consider donating on our Facebook page or donating at give.cavaliers.org. Thank you again for your generous support of our organization. Oh, and that thing that we have been teasing, you'll have to wait to the end of the broadcast for that. And now, on to the final night of our rebroadcast.
Time is running out. We need you to make a donation to make sure that the Cavaliers stay back on track for 2021. Hey, it's Dan Potter. If you've not donated, now is the time to do it. If you're an alumni and you have a close circle of friends that you marched with that you're still in contact with, I know you're in contact with a lot of the people you marched with. Let them know right now that if they're not watching this, if they have not donated yet, this is the time they need to give. And they do that by going to give.cavaliers.org. Again, coming up in just a moment, we're going back to another one of the PASIC segments. I did not know this. First of all, I 40 years around drum corps, I did not know that the bass drum beat that the Cavaliers left the field to is called Iowa. Not until we started putting together this Cav-A-Thon. Had no idea. So it's Iowa. You know why they call that bass drum beat Iowa? Because it's Iowa, 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 Iowa. It's that rhythm. I'll let Dave Leatherman, former Geneseo Knight, by the way, before he marched with the Cavaliers, I'll let Dave Leatherman tell you the story of Iowa in just a moment. We have Glenn KOTCHE of Wilco, one of the more famous Cavalier alumni, is going to be in this next segment. And our final award of the evening, it's our last Adolph DeGrauwe Legacy Award, and it's going to go to Bruce Teagan. And Bruce, of course, has left as he passed, and accepting. We have a very special celebrity acceptor for Bruce Teagan's Adolph DeGrauwe Legacy Award coming up in just a moment. You'll be quite pleased when you see who it is. And then we're going to go back after that for a final PASIC segment. And after that, how did they make those PASIC videos? All those little tile Brady Bunch videos and make them so exciting and so precise. We have a little making of segment we're going to show you too. But first up, it's Iowa. Here, Dave Leatherman will explain. Enjoy this.
Hello, my name is Dave Leatherman from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and I'm a proud alumni of the Cavaliers Drum and Bugle Corps. I marched in the bass drum line from 95 to 1997. I started drum corps at the age of 13 and was hooked on bass drum. Marching in a small Division II and III Corps from the Midwest, one of my greatest memories was always knowing that one of the big corps would be at the show we performed at. In many cases, that meant the Cavaliers would be there. I remember being told, "You can't play off the field," before my time with the Cavaliers. You get a penalty and No corps could afford that, but there they were, the Cavalier bass drum line. They were playing the corps off the field, and people loved it. It was tradition. For those men in green, there was no penalty. I had to become part of that somehow, some way. As it turns out, that bass drum cadence the Cavaliers play is called Iowa, and it began after a show in the state of Iowa. One person starts playing, and the groove has added layers based on a specific counting structure. Though the pattern is very simple, accented triplets, when segmented at different counts, it builds a really cool polyrhythmic groove. For example, I was on bass 3. I was to come in on count 20, which actually was a right foot lead. I'll be honest, I counted to 20 every time on bass 3. If I messed that up, it'd throw the entire cadence off, and we couldn't have that. I remember several shows in '97 when I was bass drum section leader actually yelling, "Come on, you're phasing," at the crowd. You could always hear the crowd start in time with Iowa, but eventually it morphed into this really funny phasing where you couldn't tell where count 1 was from the crowd clapping. Look, kids split more notes in their warm-ups than I did during an entire show when I marched. Who knows if I'd make it in the Cavaliers if I were auditioning today. Fortunately, I don't have to worry about that. I did it. I accomplished my goal and played that sweet cadence called Iowa off the field every night to fans who loved it. And I'm grateful. A true Iowa kid actually playing Iowa in the Cavaliers bass drum line. What are the odds? No matter how much the activity evolves and shows change from year to year, the notes from Iowa will remain the same, forever etched in Cavalier corps and bass drum history. Thanks for watching. Take care.
Performing their famous cadence, Iowa. Please welcome the 2021 baseline from the Cavaliers.
Hi, I'm Glenn KOTCHE. I marched with the Cavaliers in 1989 in the summer between high school and college. That summer in the snare line proved to be invaluable to me. Starting with the camps over the winter, I never would have had the discipline to practice that hard at that age if it weren't for the goal of making that snare line. My chops and technique improved drastically during that period. And then when I began to actually perform with the corps, the mix of mental and physical skills that were instilled in me were so formative that I still draw upon them all the time in my professional life. With the Cavaliers, I learned to self-analyze and gained an awareness of my playing that I never would have otherwise. Maybe the most valuable training I received, though, was learning the hypersensitive listening skills as well as how to make split-second adjustments in my playing. When I'm performing with Wilco in a variety of settings, I'm part of an ensemble, and sometimes I need to seamlessly adjust the feel or groove of a song without interrupting or interfering with the performance or the song. Those are skills I learned while in the Cavaliers. Of course, dealing with the pressure of live performance and 127 other people relying on me also made its mark. I'm pretty comfortable now in front of large audiences or cameras, and that's because of my time in the Cavies as well. These crucial skills were all jam-packed into an intensive learning environment that was a summer with the Cavaliers. I do think that my experience was especially unique because of the instructors and staff at that time. These were master teachers that I was exposed to, people like Jim Campbell, Brett Kuhn, Kevin Lepper, Leif Marwy, Dave Dombeck. The list goes on, not to mention all the other veterans that I marched with. I learned so much from all of them. And even though I didn't like being pushed so hard at the time, I'm extremely grateful that I was. I want to thank Michael McIntosh for continuing that tradition and legacy. Enjoy the rest of the clinic.
It's ironic that tonight's last recipient of the Adolph DeGrauwe Legacy Award is someone who was responsible for many of the leadership qualities that Adolph learned during his time in the Corps. I'd like to read from the nomination form that was submitted. Bruce Teakin was a snare drummer during the Corps' formative years in the mid-1950s and guided the Cavaliers to their first national championship as drum major in 1957. His leadership qualities caused Don Warren to recruit him into the management ranks during the championship decade of the 1960s, seeing him rise to executive vice president by the early 1970s. He continued to be a source of guidance to subsequent drum majors, marching members, corps managers, and Don Warren himself through the many years. Upon his passing several years ago, he bequeathed the Corps its largest donation in history, leaving both a legacy of leadership and sustainability for the Cavaliers. Shortly before his death, a large group of snare drummers gathered in his honor for one last round of paradiddles with him in the center. The group spanned almost 60 years of alumni. There was not a dry eye in the room as Bruce struggled, but succeeded in leading us all one last time. He remains a standard of leadership that all Cavalier drum majors strive to achieve. Accepting the award on behalf of Bruce Teakin is his longtime friend and drum instructor of the Cavaliers, Larry McCormick.
Bruce Teakin and I met in the Schurz High School band. I remember the day he came into the band room first time. He was like a year later than I was in the band. And he came in dressed like a styling guy. He had a thing we called at the time pants that are called drapes, really kind of a wild thing. And he had shoes that were square-toed shoes. And it was really, I was really impressed with how he entered the band room. So from that point on, we were good friends, and Bruce and I were invited to come to the Cavalier Drum Corps with an invitation to their gathering one night in 1953. So we were invited by Warren Alm and Bill Steinert, who were Cavaliers at the time and buglers. So we came into the Corps and joined it. We were really impressed with what it was. And from that point on, we became very close. We were inseparable. We were both mentored and tutored by Frank Arsenault, who was our drum instructor, who came from the East and turned the drum section around, taught us how to really play drums, and we became pretty good drummers at the time. I had to leave the Corps at the end of 1956, and Bruce became the drum major in 57, and that's when they won the first national with Bruce being drum major. I'm remembering Bruce being kind of a great leader, and he was became a part of the management team later in his life. And even to the day that we buried Bruce, we celebrated his life and all of his contribution to the Corps as we went to his wake service and sang the Corps song and Rainbow with the whole gang. So it was quite a thing. But you can be certain that Bruce's blood was definitely green. He was an amazing guy. I miss him very much. We were friends for well over 50 years, and he and his wife, Elaine, and my wife were social friends as well. So we hung out together from time to time and enjoyed the blessing of being around our gang from those days. So really pay tribute to Bruce, and he's certainly deserving of this award.
This is Mitch Markovich, and that was part of Stamina, the solo I used to win my first of 3 consecutive U.S. snare drum championships. And this is national champion and 6-year Cavalier instructor Frank Arsenault, who led my first 2 rehearsals in 1961. When I joined the Cavaliers, I played fairly low. The Cavalier line played much higher, so we compromised. We became known as the Fabulous 3Ms, Ron Markwinski, Ben Michael, and Mitch Markovich, and we had an undefeated drumline season. In January, after Frank Arsenault left, we had no instructor, so I, at 15 years old, and tenor Tom Radke became marching instructors. Ron and Ben were 19 or 20. After the National Individual Snare Drum Competition, Ron and Ben said, "We didn't know you could play that high." So we went back to the authentic Arsenault height. This increased exposure to error, but we were confident we could do it. We continued undefeated as a drumline and corps and had a whole lot more fun. I chose stamina at the beginning of this video to demonstrate our increased dynamic range. Find me on Facebook to see the unedited 61 Cavalier drumline history, the evolution of the 2020 Markovich gold standard style, my critical 52 grip and form checkpoints, my new university, professor, and PhD master classes, and the Markovich and Rampad secrets to take your drumming to the next level. Thank you, Cavaliers, for having such an amazing impact on my life. Now, you enjoy our 61 Power Solo by Dick Brown.
Performing drum solo number 2 by Dick Brown, please welcome 60 Years of the Cavaliers.
There were some unique challenges in putting this project together. We formed audio and video teams to handle the workloads of mixing, editing, and stitching over 500 videos and audio files. Everything was kept organized with weekly sub-goals set to break the clinic down into smaller, more manageable parts. Communication was key in a project this large, and the core staff and member leadership had weekly Zoom meetings to keep everything on track and transparent. Using multiple Google Drives, Google Docs, spreadsheets, Dropbox, Sibelius, Premiere Pro, Ableton, Pro Tools, and Logic, we were able to teach and sift through all of the video and audio content and distill it down into our 60-minute presentation. Educationally, the evolution of the music from decade to decade was a fascinating experience for all of us. Different excerpts required different muscle groupings based on content and tempos, and it was great to combine the material with a history lesson and story unique to each piece. We really tried to go behind the music, and each chart became much more than notes on a page. We started in February by using the excerpts from past Cavaliers as playing assignments to assess member technique, musicianship, and time management. We would assign these excerpts in a closed Facebook group, which allowed all membership to see each other's handiwork and encouraged peer-to-peer dialogue. Asking the performers to capture their craft on video constantly tweaked their performance skill set. We also used cutting-edge technologies like SoundSlice and MusicChunks.com to give the membership educational tools that allowed them to upload a converted Sibelius file of the music and change tempo at will, empowering their individual learning processes. Embracing all forms of technology available to us created a virtual, educational experience that enabled our performance at PASIC for you today.
What an incredible, monumental effort by everyone involved with the Cavaliers percussion team, from the performers all the way through the staff, and Mike McIntosh coordinating it all. And then on the technical side, Jeff Hardowitz doing the video and Nick Mason, the audio, leading those teams. And you saw how many people were involved in that, all of the different bits of software that were used and all the resources that were used in putting that PASIC presentation together. Just fantastic. And I know it was well received at PASIC. The Cavaliers very, very well represented in that virtual convention this year. So congratulations to everybody involved in that. And it was a little fascinating there. I'm glad they ran that making of segment. That gives you an idea of the scope of this project. And it's indicative of the kinds of things, the kinds of projects that Cavaliers are not afraid to tackle throughout the years. And that's what we're here to continue tonight. We are nearing the end of this Cav-A-Thon. Now, the after. Coming in any case, we're going to wrap this up by coming into the most contemporary version of the Cavaliers, and that was the field show in 2019, the last time we saw them on the field in that great other side of the track show. I'm going to speak first, though, with we've gotten caught up with Mike McIntosh and the percussion, and with Travis Spees and the color guard. We haven't really talked a whole lot about the horn line. So let's do that first. Coming up, the 2019 show. But before we do that, here's Kevin LeBoeuf and a conversation he and I had about the Cavaliers brass in 2020 and beyond. Part of this is checking in with some of the caption managers in the Cavaliers, find out what has happened with the Corps during 2020. We know there have been things going on behind the scenes, and also find out what's possibly in store for 2021. Kevin LEBOEUF is the brass caption manager of the Cavaliers. Hi, Kevin. How are you?
How's it going, Dan? I'm doing well.
What have you been up to in 2020? What have you done to keep the performers engaged?
Everything's virtual. We're all, not only the Cavaliers, but every drum corps has been thrown into this, and we've had to get really creative. But drum corps is one of those things that there's nothing that could have prepared anyone for this year. But if there's any activity that could help someone deal with adversity and thinking on the spot, it's probably drum corps. The bus breaks down. Everyone get on the percussion bus, and we got people sitting on laps and in bays overhead. Drum corps, you're just used to rolling with the punches. So it's no different now.
Kevin, you're a Cavalier brother now, but drum corps fans saw you shoot to stardom in our activity with Carolina Crown. Can you compare? No, I don't want you to compare and contrast two organizations, because obviously they're very different places. Yep. But you've experienced both drum corps families. What's the Cavaliers' time been like for you?
The Cavaliers thing, admittedly, it's a young group of people. Michael Crown is the brass team alone, just chock full of DCI Hall of Famers popping in and out. And they've had since 2003 is when that team really got established. They've had years to dial in that process, that team, and they could write the book, that team at Crown. And the thing I like about Cavaliers is that I think we have kind of a blank page right now. Mike, our arranger, he's his mid-30s. He's still a kid. And I'm not 30 yet. I'm still a kid. Our team is relatively young, but the cool thing about it is we're very tight. We're really good friends, and we're hungry. And to have that, I think it's going to bode well for us in the next couple of years.
What would you point out to the casual drum corps fan about 2019 that maybe they didn't realize?
So the casual drum corps fan. Is there a thing?
Well, no, that's a very good point.
So 2019, just to recap, it was my second year. It was our second year as a team. And we learned so much in 2018. In 2018, Mike had his crew and I had my crew, and we put like 7 and 7 people together who had really never taught together. So everything on paper would say that's not gonna go well. But there was like this forced kind of intention from everyone. Like we're gonna get to know each other. We're going to aggressively get to know each other, our personalities and our skill sets. And by the end of 2018, we were cooking. And then 2019, it was so nice to have a year under our belt, working with each other, and not only with the staff, but with the horn line. So in November 2018, when I walked in, I was going around micromanaging little stuff, horn angles, what their stuff was doing on the ground, how prepared their music should be, just expectation stuff that I wanted, that our team wanted. But then 2019, I just remember walking into that room, and the people that had been there previously were giving kids next to them the elbow, like, hey, they were doing the little details that I was doing. So I don't want to say I didn't work as hard in 2019. I worked differently, but I didn't have to worry about the little stuff, because the membership was just so great that came back. And then the staff was like, oh, we have a year under our belt. I know what you want. You know what I want. Kevin, I know you're going to forget to do this. I'm going to handle that behind the scenes, that kind of thing. And then we went out to California at the beginning of the year. We had such a great trip out there. It's like the most beautiful part of the country. That kind of excitement. The show was great. The ballad obviously was a 10, the Thomas Newman stuff. But that opener, I will say, when you listen to that, what was it, Rouse in the beginning? What did we play? The Medusa stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just the most, when Mike played me that MIDI recording, and I have to find that, I have to put that out. When that MIDI recording was played, I looked at him like I thought he was trying to pull a joke on me because it sounded so bad. It was awful. It was just a bunch of it was like someone was taking the piano and just going like this. The notes were so close together. And I was like, all right, Mike, where's the real opener? This is pretty funny. He goes, no, that's it. I was like, okay. And then we played through it for the first time and I turned to him and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be great. It's just one of those things that he was able to see past the MIDI file. And I wasn't, I wasn't ready to hear it, but it came out great. No, it was just, it was a fun year for us.
That's the kind of stuff I was looking for right there. Kevin LeBoeuf, thank you very much.
Of course.
Cavaliers 2019, The Wrong Side of the Tracks.
Performing their 2019 program, The Wrong Side of the Tracks. Drum Corps International is proud to present the Cavaliers.
This is the life we chose, the life we lead. The greatest loss is what dies inside us while we live. Shall we have a wee bit of fun now? The world is not a beautiful place, but I do believe in redemption. There is only one guarantee. None of us will see heaven.
gentlemen, under the direction of Monty Mass and Dr. Michael Vaughn, the Cavaliers!
I want to take this one last opportunity to thank the team that put all of these events together. The auction, the Rainbow Room, the Cav-A-Thon, and made this possible for the organization to be able to continue into 2021. I also want to recognize our board of directors, our administrative team, our fabulous instructional staff and designers, and especially our volunteers who dedicate so much to make sure that the Cavaliers is possible. You know, every year when we get together for our organizational retreat, the board of directors and the rest of the guests that are there from our group, we always ask ourselves, what do the Cavaliers really do well? And invariably it comes out that we produce leaders. Somehow we keep producing generations of leaders that are in decision-making and leadership roles, no matter what industry they go into or what jobs, and especially in the marching arts, whether it's drum corps, band, at the high school or college level, winter guard, percussion, everything. It's always the Cavaliers that seem to be the most frequent leaders in those groups. I call it the Accidental Leadership Program. Do we have formal classes in leadership? No, but we seem to put our members into roles where they have no choice but to develop those leadership qualities. That's what makes us so grateful for your support, so we can continue to turn out generations of leaders through the Cavaliers. On behalf of the board of directors and the entire Cavalier organization, thank you, and we'll see you on the field in 2021.
Thank you, Chris Hardowitz. Yes, Cavaliers back on the field in 2021. Exactly what that looks like is yet to be determined, but it will happen in one shape, form, or another. DCI holding 3 days of events. Again, details to be announced in the middle of August. I believe it's the 12th, 13th, and 14th of August at Lucas Oil Stadium, but corps individually planning other events during the summer, Cavaliers being among them. All right, this is our last break here in the Cav-A-Thon. Things are going to continue, and I'll go over that in just a moment. But the first thing we need to do is thank as many people as possible for their hard work on this webathon, this fundraising effort. Thank you especially to the Cavaliers staff and designers who have done so much for free during 2020. And have kept in contact with the members and have taken a personal interest well above and beyond their professional capacities during this strange and horrible year. So thank you to the staff and all the volunteers who have managed to just keep this organization together through all of it this year. Congratulations to our 4 award winners tonight, our 2 honorary Cavaliers, Dr. Brenda Brack and Michael Vaughn, and our 2 Adolph DeGrawe Legacy Award winners tonight, Michael Gaines and Bruce Tietgen. Just saw Michael Gaines post on Facebook. Michael, so proud of you. That is fantastic. Thanks to our sponsors, Yamaha, FJM, Remo, Zildjian, Innovative Percussion. Thanks to Ultimate Drill Book. And thanks especially to the city of Rosemont for their unwavering support of the Cavaliers. Okay, that's it. I've got to say thanks to Chris Hardowitz and to everybody at the Cavaliers organization for allowing me to be your host this evening. I've really, truly enjoyed this. It's been an education for me. I hope it has been for you too. Continue to give, continue to support the Cavaliers, and we will see you on the field in 2021. I can't believe I get to say this. I get to say this. Gentlemen. Oh, of course I've got to thank Monty Mass. Thank you, Jeff, for the reminder. Monty Mass, thank you for your help, especially at the beginning of the show, and for all of your support. Our new executive director doing a great job in one of the most trying years anybody could ever imagine. Thank you, Monty Mass. Okay, can I do it now? I'm so anxious to do this. I can't believe as a non-Cavalier I get to do this. Gentlemen, let's sing to
We never will go run some march on the victory Cavaliers. As we march on through the years, we march along and sing the song for we are the Cavaliers. We are the Cavaliers, there is no way fear. We march along and sing the song for we know that we never will go march on the victory Cavaliers. As we march on through the years, we march along and sing the song for we are the Cavaliers. Hey! 1, 2, 3, slow!
So you waited around for the big reveal. Well, Adolf won't have to worry about there not being enough green in the uniform or a buckle on the uniform in 2021, as we will be wearing the dress greens on the field. Once again, we want to thank you for your donations. And if you haven't yet donated, go to give.cavaliers.org today to help us stay on track. See you on the field in our dress greens in 2021.